This is Pluto, and he is a 7-year-old Dutch warm blood gelding owned by one of my clients. He came to me a few months ago for partial training and lessons. I ride him 2 days a week, and then I teach his owner a weekly lesson on him. And she bought him, I want to say about 1.5 years ago, probably now. And he had been schooling changes. So he's schooled through 3rd level, and my primary thoughts on him are he is a very long horse. He moves really well. Conformationally, kind of his only challenge is that he's built with a very long back. A little harder to see with the saddle on than without it, but you can still kind of tell back there he still has a pretty long back. And so his biggest challenges are just kind of packaging all of himself up. Since he is so long and not just getting strung out and running. So we've been doing a lot of lateral work and also trying to help him carry himself a little bit better. He likes to get low and again a little strung out, but also heavy on the forehand and kind of hanging on the reins a little bit. Sometimes I say that and then I have to correct myself. Sometimes he gets a little heavy hanging, and sometimes he just kind of tucks himself a little bit in and down rather than coming up and out to the bit. And sometimes he's a little heavy about it, sometimes he's light about it, but just trying to help him come up, lift his shoulders more, and then also to carry himself and not to be heavy on the reins. So of all of those things, a lot of suppling. A lot of lateral work for that, and you'll see in the walk I'll pick him up here. We do a lot of bending exercises, and then through the ride you'll see we work on straightness also, being a little better at turning off of the outside rein. He likes to pop his shoulder out and overbend his neck, especially going left. So anyway, those are just kind of a couple points on him, but I'll talk about all of that as we go. I'll pick him up here and do a little bit of work in the walk first. Sometimes the Oka boy, when I first pick him up, he wants to get a little bit stuck, so that's where I'll push him forward and just make sure that he stays in front of my leg as I pick up the reins. Now, at first when I warm him up, I'm not as worried about him coming up and lifting the front end. I just want him to stretch himself out a little bit first. I don't ask them to start collected right away, but I do want him round, and I want him working over his back when I take up that contact. I want him pushing forward, and then I just do some work getting him to bend, and here coming off my inside leg, but without blowing that shoulder out. So when I ask him to move his hind end over, he pops his shoulder out in the front. So that's my primary focus when I first start warming him up. Good boy, getting him to step off my inside leg on the circle here, but good boy, without overbending his neck and popping his shoulder to the outside. So in my mind here, I have to make a really defined 10-meter circle. I'll often pick a point in the middle of the circle that I want to keep him right around. Good boy, so that I have a visual. When he falls in, my point gets closer. When he goes out, I get a little farther away from it. So just keeping him right around that point. Good boy. And I want to be able to do that without my inside rein needing to bring him around. I want him, good boy, turning from my outside rein, and I want it to be really easy to step his hind end out. Now I can keep my same point in the middle of my circle, push his hind end out more, and get him, good boy, a little bit shoulder in on my same circle. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah, that's it, buddy. You can see that that actually naturally brought him up a little bit in the front. So this is some of the lateral work that we do later in the ride to try to help get him coming up and carrying himself. Take him a little bit the other direction. Once he warms up a little bit, as I start to ask him to be a little bit more packaged up and collected, one exercise I like to do on that same circle would be to take him a little haunches out. And that really gets him a little bit more compact, a little bit more collected in the walk, and sets him up to be more packaged and collected in the trot and the canter. Now here he drifts a little bit through my outside rein, so finding my circle this direction, bringing his shoulders around, picking that visual point for myself in the middle of my circle. Good boy. Again, just testing that I can step his hind legs out. You see his inside hind there steps out on the circle, kind of out underneath his midline. Good boy. And that I can do that without losing his shoulder to the outside, that I keep that circle the same size. And then this direction too, taking him just a little bit shoulder in on that same circle. Good boy. Just really tuning up all my buttons here at the beginning of the ride. Good boy. I know that that outside rein is going to be a discussion at some point as we're working later, trotting and cantering. He overbends the neck. He throws his shoulder out. Sometimes he'll almost run himself into the wall this direction because it's so hard to turn. So I just want to make sure, good boy, that I get that really nice and tuned up from the beginning. Here again, pushing him just a little bit. Shoulders in on the circle. Good boy. Let him straighten out there. Once all those aids feel like they're working well, then I take him up for a little bit of trot at the beginning. Now you see some of his tendency to curl his neck. So in the stretch, really trying to encourage him to reach forward to the bit, that he doesn't curl his neck so far in towards his chest. I like that he wants to stretch down. I want him to learn to reach out a little bit. So really pushing forward in my hand, really pushing him forward, trying to get him to reach towards that contact. Good boy. And again, the same things here, that I can always turn him from the outside rein and pushing him out a little sideways from my inside leg. Good boy. There he started to reach a little bit more to it. Kind of dove himself down and tucked in again. Good boy. Like to do lots of changes of direction with him. That one he kind of fell into my new inside leg. And as he learns to push a little bit more, good boy, out to the contact in the stretch, he's going to become steadier. When he tucks in behind the contact, just kind of starts bobbling around a little bit there. Good boy. There he starts to reach forward to it more. Again, not super steady yet. Still has that, ooh, there's where we don't listen to that outside rein very well. Tried to fall out to the outside there. This is kind of his favorite spot for that. Good boy. That's it, buddy. When he does crash into the wall, it's usually right there. That's better. Good boy. Again, just really encouraging him to reach forward to that contact, pushing him forward. That's it. Till I feel him really reaching for my hand. See if we can do a little bit of leg yield work in that stretch. Good boy. And getting a little inside leg there, making sure he doesn't fall in that turn. Good boy. There he curls a little bit. Sometimes really gently bumping him up a little bit when he gets really deep and curled there, and bring him up, then let him reach out again, but trying not to be too busy there, because I don't want to encourage him to come even further behind the bit. Good boy. I want him to reach to me. Really quiet and forward in my hand and just helping him find that contact himself. But when he gets so low and tucked under, just bringing him up a little bit, kind of starting over again. Good boy, so that he goes out a little bit more. That's better, but as he comes down, rather than coming down in towards his knees. Good boy, Pluto. And once he's had a little bit of a stretch here, pick up the contact. Now, as I shorten the reins, he feels a little heavy. Do some transition work. Good boy. This is where he has to learn to package himself up a little bit, containing that long back that he has. Good boy. And this is where I'll start to do a little bit of haunches out, little romper on the circle. Good boy. Good boy. Take him right back to that trot. That feels lighter in my hand. He feels a little more collected there, a little bit more packaged up. And in less of a heavy way. There he wants to curl a little bit to the inside. Takes a little outside rein to straighten him out. Good boy. And again, I like to do lots of changes of direction in his warm-up. Needed a little inside leg help there. When we change direction, sometimes he'll fall to the new inside. Like that. Good boy. Again, just a little bump with the inside leg, and he moves off of that just fine. Anytime he feels like he gets a little heavy, a little down in my hand, transition can help him. Really wanting to teach him to carry himself. Again, it's a little heavy. Good boy. Good boy. A little forward and back at work in the trot. Good boy. When he is up and carrying himself well, just trying to get him pushing a little more forward, finding our lengthening, finding our medium, making sure that he stays light in my hand. Good boy. Bringing him back a little anytime he feels like he gets down and heavy on me. Little canter to warm him up here. Again, making sure he's really straight on that outside rein. He wants to get a little bit curled to the inside at times. Here he gets a little heavy. Good boy. Just like in the trot, just a little half halt. Bring him back, balance him, send him forward again. Good boy. Good. Good. Ooh, same thing there. He goes forward, but he gets running down a little bit. Bring him back, little half halt. Good boy, rebalances. Go forward again, good boy. Good boy. Same thing this way, a little forward and back in the trot. Like to take him. Good boy. Little shoulder in there as I bring him back. Helps him to think about using his hind end as he comes down. Whoop. Good boy. That's okay. Didn't go quite as forward as I wanted to there. Pushed him a little, wound up with a canter. That's fine. He went forward. Now he wants to curl to the inside. Good boy. Get that shoulder to turn. Come back to the trot. And again, a little forward and back in the trot. Here he gets a little heavy. Good boy. Just bring him back to me. And we go again. Good boy. Good. And again, little extra bent in the neck. Pops that shoulder out. Good boy. Good boy, Pluto. Here he gets a little heavy. Good boy. Bring him back a little, that half halt. Rebalancing him. Maybe a 10-meter circle. Good boy. Again, getting him to turn that shoulder. And when he does turn his shoulder, good. There, good boy. That helps him to find a little bit more uphill balance because he needs that in order to make the short shoulder more mobile. Good boy. Like to test that I can bring my circle in just a little bit off of the wall. That he's not just turning because he runs into the wall. Good boy. This starts to get a little straighter. Want to feel, just like we talked about in the walk at the beginning, that I can push his hind end out without him running forward like he did there. Without him coming out in that shoulder. Good boy. Then when he's balanced, pushing the canter more forward, shoulder falls out, balancing him again. Pushing that hind leg underneath himself. Good boy. Then we go more forward again. Good boy. And again, rebalancing. Good. Good boy. Now that he's warmed up a little trot and canter, give him a little break here. Good boy, Pluto. Give him a good rest for that. Probably start with little canter work first. Again, adjusting it a little bit more than I did in the warm-up. Maybe some walk canters, maybe some canter to walk. Started working on that a little bit. He has a really hard time with that because he's so long that coming back and sitting is really hard for him. He's done them a few times, but they're not very pretty yet. All right, now that he's had a break, pick him up again. Again, if he gets slow at all when I start to pick up the reins, good boy. Just give him a little bump with my leg. Don't mind if he trots off. Good boy. Just want him thinking quick hind legs as I touch the reins. That's always important. Good boy. Sometimes he gets just a little bit too slow and stuck when I touch the reins. Good boy. Now when I set him up for a canter transition, again, I want that walk to be nice and quick. Want him straight in my outside rein. Good boy. And sometimes I'll set him up with a little bit of that haunches out on the circle. Good boy. Good. Good. Still not super confident in this. Good. But when he gets it, good boy. Good boy. Helps him come a little bit up in the front, a little lighter in my hand, a little shorter in his back. And take that into the canter transition. Not perfectly round, but he went right into it for me. Could have been a little bit quicker off my leg. That's where some of that head lifting came from. Good boy. There he goes more forward without plowing down as much in the front. Now as I bring him back, sometimes helps to come into a smaller circle. Give him a little tap. Thinking quick hind legs. Good. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. And forward and out. Good boy. Always making sure we're straight on his outside rein. Bring him back again. And tap on the whip. Good boy. Good. Good. If he feels like he gets slow, push him forward and out of it. Sometimes mix it up. A little forward on the long side. Good. 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 Always want him to come back to me in a way that makes it easy to go forward again. There, I started to ask. He wasn't quite ready. Good boy. It's the right idea. Those are still difficult for him. Good boy. Better upward transition that time. Happened a little bit quicker when I asked him. He's still a bit green on both of these, so a little forgiving there. Good. Now that we just went down to the walk, come back and go forward a couple times so that he's not always thinking about stopping when we come back. Good. 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 Again, that idea that he comes back in a way that makes it easy to go forward again. Good boy. Really good, Pluto. Still not as balanced as we someday want him to step into that, but for him right now, it was clean. We came down to the walk, and he just has to get stronger at carrying himself and also just better at that idea of sitting and collecting for it. Good job, buddy. Takes a much bigger aid right now than I want it to eventually. Have to almost think sliding stop and just lock my seat, really sit down into him to bring him down into that. And he gets a good rest for that. It's also a little cold tonight, and I like to give them more breaks when it's cold. And he's had a good break now, so we'll pick him up and do a little bit of canter on the right lead. Same thing this way. Keep him quick, thinking quick behind as I shorten the reins. Good boy. And this direction we'll do the same thing. I'll find a circle here, and then we'll do a little hunches out. First, just want him bending on my circle. Needs to be good boy, a little quicker off my inside leg there. Good boy. And bringing him little haunches out on the circle. Good boy, Pluto. Keeping his front legs walking right on that circle that I was on. He wants to fall in a little bit. So my right leg again, just like he did when he was bending normally on the circle. Wanted to go boy, fall a little bit to the inside. Same thing here. Good boy. When he comes a little bit lighter, a little more packaged up from that shoulder or haunches out, bring him back to his normal bend on the circle. Push him a little more forward. Just want him nice and active in the walk. Want him to stay up and light in my hand. And I can always take him just a little renvers again. Good boy. Good boy. Easier that time. And bending him again to the inside. Again, he needs to come off my right leg a little better. Good boy. Good boy. And again, getting him a little off of my inside leg there. Good. Good boy. All of that prep work made for a very nice upward transition. As he gets a little bit less green, shouldn't take as much time, but he just needs to be really carrying himself, really bending correctly, give him the best chance of success for his transition. Now again, a little good boy, forward and back this direction. Good boy. Want him a little straighter as he comes back. Good. Good. Really feeling like he comes back from my outside rein. Good. And stays straight. Good boy. Wants to throw his shoulder out a little bit as he comes back.